Hello, dears. I hope you are doing great and ready to learn something exciting today. If you dream of speaking English fluently, confidently, and naturally, you are in the right place. In today's lesson, we will dive into a powerful skill: how to think in English. This is a key step on your journey to becoming a fluent English speaker. Let's get started. We all know how challenging it can be when we pause to translate sentences from our native language into English before speaking. It can make us feel slow, less confident, and can even lead to mistakes. But imagine if you could skip that translation step completely and think directly in English. Sounds amazing, right? Well, I'm here to tell you it's absolutely possible. By working through 4 simple steps, you can train your mind to think in English naturally. This skill can truly transform the way you speak and boost your confidence like never before. Before starting, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. By subscribing, you will ensure you never miss any of our lessons designed to help you achieve fluent English. Now, let's dive into today's topic: how to think in English. Think in verbs, the power of action words. The first step of learning to think in English is focusing on verbs. Verbs are action words. They describe what's happening. Why start with verbs? Because actions are everywhere around us, and by learning to describe those actions in English, you'll begin forming sentences in your mind more naturally and quickly. Let's take an example. Visualize yourself taking a walk through Central Park in New York City. All around you, people are busy with different activities. What are they doing? Some are running. Others are talking. A dog is chasing a ball, while someone is feeding pigeons. Each of these actions is captured with a verb: run, talk, chase, feed. By noticing these actions and identifying them in English, you can begin training your mind to think in English naturally. This technique of observing and recognizing actions can be applied no matter where you are. Whether you are standing at a bus stop in London, waiting at a traffic light, or relaxing at a cafe in Paris, there's always activity to notice. Imagine being on a lively street in Tokyo. You might observe people walking rapidly, someone pedaling on a bicycle, or friends sharing a laugh. Mentally identify these actions in English. Walk, cycle, laugh. But what if you're at home, where the environment feels quiet and uneventful? You can still practice your verb thinking skills by visualizing scenes or using images. For example, look at a photo of a family picnic. What actions are taking place? Perhaps they're eating, playing, or relaxing. Even when you're indoors, you can practice recognizing actions by considering everyday scenarios. Picture yourself in your kitchen. You could be cooking, washing dishes, or cleaning. Key practice tip: dedicate 5 to 10 minutes daily to practice focusing on verbs. Choose a different place each day and observe the actions taking place around you. As you make this a habit, you'll train your mind to think about activities in English, which will help you describe events more naturally and effortlessly in real time. Step 2. Think in nouns, naming the world around you. After becoming familiar with thinking in verbs, shift your focus to nouns. Nouns are the names of people, places, things, or ideas. and they form the foundation of communication. Everything you see, touch, or imagine has a name. By identifying these names in English, this will bring you closer to thinking and speaking fluently in English. Taking another example from a different city. Imagine you're in the vibrant city of Sydney, Australia, standing near the iconic Sydney Opera House. As you observe your surroundings, you notice the grand building, the expansive harbor, and many tourists snapping photos. You also spot a boat cruising through the water and a few seagulls flying in the sky. All of these things, building, harbor, tourists, boat, seagulls, are nouns. It's essential to practice thinking in nouns, no matter where you are. If you are at a market in Delhi, India, you could observe fruits, vegetables, spices, and vendors. These are all nouns that name the things and people around you. Even when you are simply sitting in your room, you can identify nouns. For instance, you might notice a desk, a chair, a book, and a phone. Another effective way to practice thinking in nouns is by describing the items you have with you, or what's in your bag. For example, you might have a notebook, keys, and a wallet. By consistently identifying these objects in English, it will become a natural part of your thinking. Over time, this practice will help you think in English more quickly and with greater clarity. Key practice. Dedicate a few minutes each day to naming the objects around you in English. Whether you're out and about at home or traveling, challenge yourself to identify everything in English. For instance, if you're in Barcelona, Spain, you might see things like cafes, statues, bicycles, and passers-by. The more you practice this, the more easily your brain will start thinking in English. Step 3. Think in sentences, connecting verbs and nouns. Once you are comfortable thinking in verbs and nouns, it's time to take the next step. Thinking in sentences. This is where you start combining verbs and nouns to describe what's happening around you in full sentences. At this stage, keep it simple. Don't worry about creating long or complex sentences. Just focus on forming short, clear sentences that describe what you observe. For example, if you're in Cape Town, South Africa, gazing at Table Mountain, you might say, "The sun is shining. The wind is strong today. The tourists are climbing the mountain." These sentences may be simple, but they allow you to practice thinking in complete thoughts. Now, let's picture yourself in Toronto, Canada, sitting in a park. What's going on around you? Here's one way you might describe it. A family is enjoying a picnic. Children are playing with a ball. Birds are flying in the sky. These sentences are short, but they effectively describe what happened around you. As you grow more confident, you can start adding more details. For instance, if you're in Berlin, Germany, walking near the Brandenburg Gate, you might describe the scene like this. A group of tourists is snapping pictures of the monument. Some are following their tour guide, while others are looking at their maps. This sentence brings together different verbs and nouns, offering a more complete description of what's happening. The key is to train yourself to think in full sentences, rather than just individual words. This practice will help you speak more smoothly, as your brain will naturally put together sentences without needing to pause and think about each word. Key practice. Set 10-15 minutes daily to describe your surroundings in full sentences, whether you are at home, at work, or traveling in a new place. Try to form sentences in your mind that illustrate what's going on around you. For example, if you are sitting in a cafe in Rome, Italy, you could think to yourself, the waiter is delivering coffee. Two people are chatting, while a couple at another table is deciding what to order from the menu. This routine will develop your ability to think in English naturally. Step 4. Think in paragraphs, bringing it all together. The final step is to transition from thinking in sentences to thinking in paragraphs. This means describing everything around you in more detail, narrating a complete story, or creating a more vivid picture of the scene. For example, imagine you are standing on the Great Wall of China. Here's how you might describe it in a paragraph. I'm standing on the Great Wall, and the view is breathtaking. The mountains stretch endlessly into the distance, while the wall twists and turns across the rugged terrain. Around me, tourists are snapping photos and exploring different sections of the wall. I can hear a mix of languages being spoken, adding to the vibrant atmosphere. A gentle breeze carries a sense of history through the air, and the worn stone steps under my feet reveal centuries of use. The steep incline makes it a challenge, but the experience is unforgettable. In this paragraph, you have effortlessly brought together everything. Action words like twists, exploring, and spoken. Nouns like mountains, tourists, and steps, and complete sentences that clearly describe the scene. With consistent practice, thinking in English will become second nature. Instead of forming brief phrases, you'll be able to paint a complete picture of what you experience. Let's explore another example. Imagine you're exploring a lively market in Istanbul, Turkey. Here's how you might express it. The market is full of people, all busy buying things and talking to the sellers. I can smell the spices in the air, and the bright colors of the rugs and fabrics grab my attention. A man is serving tea from a cart, and some tourists are taking pictures. I hear people chatting and laughing, and the place feels lively and exciting. When you practice forming paragraphs like this, you train your brain to share details about events and scenes smoothly, without pausing to translate from your native language. This step is crucial because it helps you not only think in English, but also organize and express your ideas in a clear and fluent way. By focusing on creating paragraphs, you learn to speak more comfortably and at length, which is a vital part of achieving fluency. Let's try one more example together. Picture yourself sitting in a charming cafe in Amsterdam, Netherlands. I'm sitting at a little table by the window, enjoying my coffee. The cafe feels cozy and comfortable, with gentle music playing softly. Outside, I can see people riding their bikes along the canal. The sky is gray, and it seems like rain is coming. Inside, some people are reading books, while a couple talks quietly over their breakfast. The smell of warm bread fills the room, and the place feels calm and peaceful. In this paragraph, you've used verbs, nouns, and sentences to create a detailed picture of the scene. This is the final step in thinking in English, where you describe events in full detail, just like you would in your own language. Now take a few minutes to describe your day in a paragraph. Think about your day from the moment you got out of bed. What were the first things you did? Where did you go throughout the day? Who did you see or talk to? For example, today was a relaxing day. I woke up around 8 a.m. and decided to start the day with a cup of tea. I spent some time reading a book on the couch. The weather was sunny, so I went outside for a short walk in the neighborhood. I enjoyed the fresh air and saw a few people walking their dogs. After that, I had a light breakfast of fruit and toast. In the afternoon, I did some house cleaning and organized my desk. Later, I video called my family to catch up. In the evening, I watched a movie and had some popcorn. It was a peaceful and enjoyable day. This kind of daily practice will not only help you think in English, but also improve your ability to remember and describe events in detail, bringing it all together, reaching fluency through consistent practice. By now, you should have a solid understanding of the 4 stages of thinking in English. Think in verbs. Concentrate on action words and describe the activities happening around you. Think in nouns. Identify the people, places, and objects in your environment. Think in sentences. Combine verbs and nouns to form clear, simple sentences. Think in paragraphs. Combine everything you've learned to create detailed descriptions of events and scenes. Each step builds on the last, helping you develop the ability to think in English without translating. Consistent practice of these steps will train your brain to process information in English more naturally. Why is thinking in English essential for fluency? Now that you understand the steps, let's explore why this approach is so effective. When you are just starting to learn English, it's common to translate from your native language. While this is a natural part of the process, it often causes delays in your speaking. Instead of expressing yourself smoothly, you may pause frequently to think what to say, which can affect your confidence. By practicing thinking in English, you skip the need for translation. Your thoughts begin to form directly in English, allowing you to speak more quickly and smoothly. Being able to think in English makes conversations easier, helps you express your ideas clearly, and enables you to respond promptly during discussions. For example, imagine yourself in a job interview in London, where the interviewer asks you to share a challenging work experience. If you are thinking in your native language, you may pause to translate your thoughts into English, causing delays. However, if you have trained your mind to think directly in English, you will be able to respond instantly and with confidence. This approach also applies to everyday interactions. Whether you are talking with friends, delivering a presentation, or ordering a meal at a restaurant, thinking in English simplifies communication and makes it flow effortlessly. Practical exercises to help you think in English. Now that you are familiar with the 4 steps, here are some effective exercises to enhance your ability to think in English. Everyday observations. Spend 10-15 minutes each day paying attention to your surroundings and describing them in English. Whether you are on a bus, at the park, or walking around your neighborhood, try to explain what you see, hear, or feel using verbs, nouns, and sentences. Use your all 5 senses to create vivid descriptions. For example, what sounds can you hear? Is there a particular smell in the air? Focus on these details and express them in English. 2. Picture descriptions. Choose a picture from a magazine, website, or your own photo collection. Focus on the details in the image and describe it in English. For example, if you're looking at a picture of a city street, you might say the street is busy with cars and buses. People are walking on the sidewalk, some carrying shopping bags. I can see a tall building on the left and a small cafe with outdoor seating on the right. The sky is clear and the right. The sky is clear and the right. Sun is shining. 3. Journal writing. At the end of each day, write a short journal entry in English about your experiences. For example, if you spent the day by the sea, you might write, "Today, I walked along the beach. The sound of the waves crashing was relaxing, and the sea was a beautiful shade of blue. I saw a few people swimming and others collecting seashells. The air smelled salty, and I could feel the cool breeze on my skin." The goal is to add as much detail as possible to describe your day. 4. Talk to yourself. If you don't have anyone to practice speaking English with, talking to yourself is a great way to improve. Choose a topic and speak about it for a few minutes. For instance, you could talk about your favorite movie, explain how to cook your favorite dish, or share your plans for the weekend. Speaking aloud helps you practice forming sentences and expressing your thoughts in English. Over time, this will build your confidence and fluency. 5. Set language challenges. Push yourself to think in English for short periods during your day. For example, set a timer for 5 minutes and challenge yourself to think only in English during that time. Over time, you can gradually increase the duration as you get more comfortable. This will help train your mind to naturally think in English without needing to translate from your native language. Final thought: the journey to fluency. Learning to think in English is a process that takes time and effort, but with patience and practice, it becomes easier. The more you expose yourself to English, the more natural it will feel to think, speak, and express your thoughts in the language. By focusing on the 4 stages: verbs, nouns, sentences, and paragraphs, you'll create a solid foundation for fluency. Consistency is the secret to progress. Even if you only practice for a few minutes every day, you'll notice gradual improvement. Mistakes are part of the journey, so don't let them discourage you. Instead, see each mistake as an opportunity to learn and improve. Are you ready to take the next step in your English journey? Start practicing today. In the near future, you will find yourself thinking in English just like a native speaker. Thank you for being part of today's lesson. If you enjoyed the lesson, like the video, subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to stay updated on all our future lessons. Also, don't forget to share with your friends and people you know. Keep practicing, and I look forward to seeing you in our upcoming Worth lessons. Have a nice day.